All right, YouTube, I'm actually not sure what this is. I have an idea, but if it's the idea of what I think it is, it's early. And I'm correct, it is early. This is supposed to be here next week. So thus, I was a bit caught off guard by today's delivery, which is a nice surprise. So, years ago, we were a Mac airport. I've had all iterations of the Macintosh wireless airport base access point stations, base, whatever you want to call them. And then years ago, we went to Ubiquiti, I think it's called. And, you know, some days great coverage and then other days not, which is kind of frustrating because the access points don't move. And it's been a number of years and I'm just tired of it. Tired. So we're going to try for the channel, because I do my uploads via the wireless for this video making process on my channel. So I am going to try an Aruba. Now, the one thing I do not like when I was reading, and I think they're all going in this way, is like with any access point I've ever owned in my life, it's either a browser-based or an app-based, this is actually quite heavy, configuration. This is cloud-based, which means I need to provide my SSID and home network password to Aruba, which is HP. I don't like doing that. I do not like doing that. So, I guess with all the serial numbers, MAC addresses, and everything else, I guess I'll have to blur that out. So, I guess I won't show this to you anymore for privacy's sake. So, we now have an Aruba Instant On, and this is an older model because there's nothing I need that is, what's the new term? This is an access point. Well, it says APIN0305, but and it was made a year ago, 5/17/23. This is an AP12. More stuff I'll have to black out, I guess. So I will set this up. I will turn off all my other access points, and you got to be careful when you buy these things when you're looking at price, because some of them, you know, unless you have PoE, some of them do not come with the injector, the PoE injector. So, you know, you'll pay extra for that. So be careful. I will set this up and report back on how successful the coverage is. So right now we had 3 Ubiquities, 2 access points, 2 wired access points, and then 1 extender. And the extender was here in the garage. Didn't do shit. I think it was more of a detractor than an enhancement. But we will see what the Aruba Instant On AP12 can do, because when I read the specs of the AP12, there's no reason to pay for the current generation and the extra $150 for what it delivers and what I need and what my family needs in terms of a number of devices to connect. So again, we'll see how well I'm able to get this and what the throughput looks like. More later. We are back, and you can guess what this follow-up video is about. The Aruba Instant On wireless access point. And this model number is the AP12, which is not the newest version. This is a Wi-Fi 5 version as opposed to Wi-Fi 6. This was made in May of 2023, so it's about a year old. And I don't need Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 6 stuff, features. I don't have any Wi-Fi 6 devices, so there's no reason to buy something that I can't take advantage of. And there's people who say, well, you need to buy for the future proofing. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But all I was looking for by testing the Aruba was to see if this particular device is better in terms of throughput than what we installed about 3 years ago. And the way technology changes, how fast the pace, 3 years is, kind of an eternity, referencing technology, considering when you buy a computer today, by the time you walk out of the store, there's a new version and it's outdated. So what I did was I disconnected our current Wi-Fi. They are PoEs, power over Ethernet. So I pulled the cable, watched them power down, and no longer had any Wi-Fi. Then I installed this, put it next to the current access point, and then I did my testing. Well, let me walk a step back. So I did my, let me fold this in half. So I did my testing at 16 different points on my house property. My desk, a room next to my desk, another room, loft, downstairs front room area, kitchen area by the, or rather front room area, the other side of the front room area, bathroom downstairs, in the garage, right at this workbench actually, the family room over by the pantry, kind of extend one point of the house to the next, the front porch, the backyard barbecue area, the backyard air conditioning area. We have a generator, so over by the generator, and then I just called this apricot tree because it was the opposite side of the generator area. So I used two devices. My iPhone is an iPhone 6S, so old technology, old antenna. The iPad is old as well, not as old as my iPhone. Different antenna, different size. So my methodology at each of the 16 stations, I'll call it, 16 measurement points, was to turn off Wi-Fi, then turn it back on so that it would get a connection. It would force to be connected to, again, I didn't want to chance any type of, weirdness, legacy connection, whatever. So I was doing a fresh connect, disconnect, and connect at each. So 32 different tests. The iPad was faster in many of the tests, except for one or two. Considerably, but none of these numbers are bad for wireless, and I'm not doing any heavy upload or download on my iPhone or iPad. The concern was connectivity, because sometimes connectivity is just questionable at times in certain areas of the house or certain areas of the backyard. So I thought with this new technology, I was assuming new is better, and I should know better than to assume new is better, considering I'm restoring a 75-year-old saw that I would call better than today's saw. So here were the numbers. Shocking numbers. So as you can tell, this instant on is going instant back. So it was about 70% slower than my older technology, which, again, this is older technology, so they're probably very close to each other in terms of speeds and feeds on paper. But speeds and feeds on paper with the exact same testing process at all 16 data collection points, so 32 tests, identical, and within time, we're talking the span of 10 minutes. So we're not talking, weird weather conditions, weird whatever weather conditions for the outside stuff. But the point being, for example, sitting at my desk, my iPhone's getting 120 megabits per second, iPad 150. On the Aruba device, 40 and 74. Not so great. Where was another high one? How about downstairs? Downstairs in the bathroom area, 140, 55, 210, 65. Right here where we're standing right now, the iPad and iPhone are right next to each other. And I was running all these tests on fast.com. So I would disconnect Ethernet. I had no cellular data on my phone, so everything was pure internet, pure Wi-Fi. So no Bluetooth, no anything. Everything was turned off, and the iPad doesn't have cell, so it's only Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So everything was turned off, but Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi would get turned on, off. Then I would change the location. I would then turn Wi-Fi on. I'd go out to fast.com and I would run my test. And again, the garage, so the reloading bench, with my iPhone on the UniFi 130, iPad 120, the Aruba 34, the Aruba 51 on the iPad. Yeah, just, and then other places in the house, 94, 0, 190, 16. The outside ones, I wasn't surprised. Again, barbecue, 91, 0. Air conditioning area, 0, 24 megabit versus 0. Generator area, 45 megabit versus 5.4 megabit. We're on, that's 11A, 11B speeds. Air conditioning area, 24 versus 0. Apricot tree area, 38 versus 0. 13 versus 0. So, yeah, the technology is going to have to significantly increase. So I think my solution is going to be to stick with the Ubiquiti UniFi and buy a few more of those access points and run hard wires to wherever I need to, or potentially maybe a PoE switch. Wiring the house where areas aren't wired is expensive, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this baby's going back to the rainforest. Later. Hello, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back to you once again, and we're going to call this Aruba Closure. And the reason I'm going to call this Aruba Closure is because this just happened recently, dated May 30th. Sorry for the terrible printing. I need new toner. So please imagine right here, there's a picture of the Aruba access point, the AP15 or AP12 or whatever it was. So I wanted to go over the interesting journey that I've never had happen before with the rainforest. When I order stuff, I try to find free returns. So whatever I'm ordering, especially if it's something that I'm not sure of, I look for a vendor or a seller that offers free returns. Because if it doesn't work out for me, for whatever reason, I want to be able to take advantage of that return, that free return, instead of paying for shipping or potentially something else. So on this particular instance, the Aruba access point had a free return. And I will pay more for an item that has free returns. I'm not talking about double. If it's moderately more, incrementally more, I'll pay for that because that's hassle-free, or at least it has been hassle-free with the rainforest in my past experience. That's starting to change. I've noticed that, and again, I think it depends on what the item is, both size and actual item, that normally when I do a return, if I do a return, it would be a drop-off like at Whole Foods or Kohl's or some department store, or something relatively easy. Once in a while, again, I think it's depending on size or what the item actually is, it might be a UPS store. But from a convenience point of view, little small trinkety kind of things like the pencil sharpeners that I returned that didn't show up, or that I replaced with a second order, and then the order from China finally showed up, a month later, and then I returned that kind of thing was the Whole Foods. So for this Aruba access point, this was a free return item. So I ordered it on 4/28. It was delivered on 5/3, and I ran my test that I showed you in the video, the previous segment, on 5/3 and discovered this is a POS. So I immediately initiated the return request on 5/3. And I was told, and this was a first, because normally you'll go through the return process and then you'll get your code and then you take it somewhere, your QC code. I was immediately told that after I requested the return, The vendor, whom I'm not going to name, had 24 to 48 hours to get back to me with my return request. So after that 48-hour window, I think it was like hour 49, I clicked on my status for my return label, and Amazon had a postage required return label. I'm like, that's a no-go. This was a free return, and it clearly states on the label, postage required. I'm like, yeah, this is not a standard Amazon thing. So I reached out to Amazon, and I'm like, what's up? And their comment was, oh, this is a third-party resale. I'm like, I don't care who it is. You, Amazon, said free return shipping or free returns. Postage required on a shipping label is not free returns. So they said, oh, we'll reach out to the vendor. They'll have 24 to 48, same kind of story. I'm like, okay, whatever. So that was on 5/6. Well, it took almost a week to get a prepaid label. And the way the vendor described it was, oh, the postage required was an auto-generated thing from Amazon. We have to send, we will email you, and this is through Amazon Chat messaging system. We will, within 24 to 48 hours from 5/6, when Amazon escalated this, and it wasn't within 24 to 48 hours, is yet another week. In fact, I had to ping Amazon again, like, where's my label? So they finally provided it on 5/13. Again, longer than 48 hours. I think there was a weekend worked in there. So again, it was longer than they said it would be. I sent it off the day I got my FedEx prepaid shipping. I went to the FedEx center and dropped it off 5/13, got my receipt, and told it would be delivered on 5/20, which it was. It was delivered on 5/20 in the morning and signed for. And then I waited and waited and waited and waited. I'm like, where's my return? Or where's my refund? I had to call Amazon back on 5/30. Like, what's going on here, guys? They had it 10 days ago. That's a reasonable amount of time to get my refund. And once again, Amazon said, we've reached out to the vendor and they have 48 hours to respond, blah, 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 blah. Well, then the vendor, all of a sudden I get an email. A refund issued for the total amount, shipping and the product, $149.99 plus whatever shipping to make it $165.36 on May 30th. So it was the same day I reached out to Amazon. Do you think that's a coincidence that this vendor just happened to be ready to do this on 5/30, or was it a result of the Amazon message that they copied me and the vendor, which the vendor then responded to on 5/30 saying they would look into this, and again, we will have your refund issued within 48 hours, and they issued it same day. The message I'm trying to get across here is things are changing on the rainforest. This whole, it's a third-party resale. I don't care who it is, Amazon. You're representing, they're on your platform. They need to follow your rules. And this is another case, in my opinion, of if I wasn't pushing, who knows how long it would take or if it would even happen. So it's a shame that I have to get involved to make this happen. And this is the first time in dealing with Amazon and a third-party reseller where everything seemed to be outside of Amazon, in the sense that, albeit Amazon had total visibility, it was the third-party vendor that issued the return labels, the third-party vendor that issued the refund. And again, I've had return items in the past where it'll say your item will be refunded once the seller receives it. And sometimes Amazon will do an advanced refund, and sometimes they'll wait. But I've never had to follow up, especially after a 10-day waiting period for, hey, you guys got this on 5/20, and by 5/30, 10 days later, I still don't have my refund. Well, that's just not a good way to do business. So this is a company I would never do business with again. So they're in the back of my mind. And it was unfortunate, but this puts closure to the Aruba, which didn't work out for me. You saw the speeds and feeds. They were very disappointing as compared to existing access point installation from Ubiquiti. So this is now finally done. Put this one to rest. Goodbye, Aruba.